Hello everybody, welcome back to the World Storytelling Cafe. This marvellous place full of stories from all over the whole planet. Today I am going to tell you some stories, a couple of stories, all about names. Names are a funny thing. Some names you give yourself, some names are given to you, and some names come from complete strangers. The two stories I'm going to tell you today are all concerned with names. The first story involves a character we all know. Now this character's been around for a long time. Now I know him, because he's a friend of mine, as Jeremy. Other people know him as the Wolf. But some people know him as the Big Bad Wolf. And the reason they know him as the Big Bad Wolf involves a story that happened on one day many years ago. First of all, let's meet the Wolf. This is the Wolf. He's a very friendly chap. He likes to go out and help in the community. He likes to ride his bike. He likes to go to his allotment. He likes to grow vegetables. He's a very friendly guy. One morning he woke up and he looked out the window and he yawned. Oh, he stretched. Oh, he said, now, what am I going to do today? It's beautiful outside. I think I'm going to go for a walk. I'm going to go for a walk and see what's going on in the world. Why not? And so with that, he went down the stairs, he went out the front door, and he started to go down the road. Oh, he said, this really is a wonderful day. Look at that. Look at the birds. Look at the plants. Look at the flowers. Oh, look at the trees. Oh, it's a beautiful day. I wonder what I'm going to see today. He walked a bit further, and as he walked down the road, he came across a very unusual thing. Walking up the middle of the road was a tiny little pig. Well, that's unusual, he thought. What was even more unusual, it was the little pig was carrying straw. Ooh, said the Wolf. I wonder what he's going to do with that straw. I'm going to follow him. So the little pig wandered down the road, oblivious of the fact that behind him was following the Wolf, watching where he was going. The pig got to a little house. The house was made of straw. The Wolf looked at it. He said, no. This won't do. I'm going to have a chat with these people. And he knocked on the door. And a little voice inside said, oh, you can't come in, not by the hair on our chinny chin chin. Really? Said the Wolf. A pig with a beard? Now that's strange. Anyway, I don't want to come in. I just want to say that this house made of straw, it's not very tough. And with the slightest puff of wind, this will blow down. The little pig said, oh, he's going to huff, he's going to puff, he's going to blow my house down. I didn't say that, said the Wolf. I just said it's not very tough. With the slightest puff of wind, this is going to blow down. And do you know what happened then? There was the slightest puff of wind and that house made of straw completely collapsed. The little pig squeaked. Eee! And he ran off. Ah! The Wolf said, where are you going? And he followed after him. Well, the little pig ran down the road into another house, and the house was made of, can you guess? You're right, sticks. Right, said the Wolf. Well, this isn't much better, is it? And so he knocked on the door. And two little voices said, oh, you can't come in, not by the hair on our chinny chin chins. Really? Said the Wolf. Two pigs with beards? Now that is something worth seeing. But anyway, I don't want to come in. He said, just this house made of sticks isn't very strong. It's not very tough. With the slightest puff of wind, this is going to blow down. And two voices said, oh, he's going to huff, he's going to puff, he's going to blow our house down. The Wolf said, I didn't say that. I just said it's not very tough. Slightest puff of wind, this is going to blow down. And do you know what happened? There was a puff of wind and the house made of sticks completely collapsed. Told you, said the wolf. And 2 little pigs said, "Ah!" And they squeaked and they ran off down the road as fast as they could. Well, the wolf followed them. Now they ran into a house made of, you've guessed it, stone and brick. "Now this is more like it," said the wolf. "This is more what a house should be." And he knocked on the door. And 3 voices said, "Oh, you can't come in, you can't come in, not by the hair on our chinny chin chins." Is there some kind of pig beard convention going on in there or something? Are you hipster pigs? Said the wolf. "What's going on?" He said, "I don't want to come in anyway, just want to tell you this house made of bricks and stones, this is more like it. This is nice and strong. This will stand up if there's the slightest puff of wind." And you know what the little pigs said? They just squashed their noses against the window and they went at the wolf. And the wolf said, "Ah, how rude. How rude. I don't need this. I'm off." And he started to walk down the road. He said, "Oh, I don't know what I'm going to be doing now." He said, "That was terrible." He said, "That's quite upset me. That's thrown me right off." He said, "What am I going to do? I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to go see my friend Trevor." He said, "That's what I want to do. Trevor always cheers me up. He lives down by the river. He's a very friendly chap, makes me laugh. He's a troll, yeah, all right, but he's good." And he went down to the river. As he got towards the bridge down by the river, he shouted out, "Trevor! Trevor!" And then he heard a noise. And that noise went, "Ooh." He said, "Trevor?" He said, "Trevor, is that you?" And out from underneath the bridge came a very, very small little troll. "Oh," said Trevor. "What's up with you?" said the wolf. "Oh, I've got a terrible headache. Oh, my head really hurts," said Trevor. "Why?" "Oh," he said, "it started first thing this morning, up on my roof. When I went outside, guess what was up there? It just went click, clop, click, clop, click, clop. Oh, it's driving me mad." "What was it?" said the wolf. "Goats." "Kidding." "No, fully grown ones," said Trevor. The wolf said, "What were they doing?" "Apparently they're going over to the other side of the river because the grass is greener." "Looks the same to me," said Trevor. "It's giving me a terrible headache. I'm really suffering." "Oh dear," said the wolf. "We'll have to do something about that." And just at that moment there was click, clop, click, clop, and across the bridge came a big, huge billy goat Gruff. "Right," said the wolf, "you can stop there." "Why?" said the billy goat Gruff. "I'm going over the other side where the grass is greener." "Really?" said the wolf. "Looks the same to me." "Well, I'm going over there whether you like it or not." "Whoa, whoa, whoa, whoa," said the wolf. "You can't do that. What about poor old Trevor and his headache?" "I don't care," said the billy goat Gruff. "I'm going over there whether you like it or not. And if you don't get out of the way, I'm going to charge." "How much?" said the wolf. "No, I don't think you understand," said the billy goat Gruff. And he put his head down and he ran towards the pair of them. Well, the wolf, he goes to the gym and he's quite fit. So he jumped out of the way. Woo! But poor old Trevor, he wasn't quick enough, probably because of his headache. And the billy goat Gruff tossed him on his horns straight out into the river. Oh, the wolf, he ran off. Oh, he said, "I don't believe this." He said, "I don't believe it. Oh, poor old Trevor. I hope he's all right." Wow, he said, "What a day. First those 3 little pigs blowing raspberries at me. Now there's a bully goat Gruff." He said, "No, I can't believe it." He said, "Ruining my day." He said, "I need a bit of peace and quiet." He said, "I know, I'm going to go into the forest." So he walked down to the forest, and as he walked under the trees, he looked at the trees. He thought, "Oh, look at that. Nice birds in the trees, lovely flowers." He said, "Nice and shady as well." He said, "Oh, and look at that house." And in the middle of the forest there was a lovely, beautiful house, had a thatched roof, roses all round the window, and a little curl of smoke out of the chimney. "Ah, now that's a house," said the wolf. And just at that moment a door in the house opened, and out of the little house came a little old lady. She looked at the wolf and she said to the wolf, she said, "Oh, hello, wolf." And the wolf said, "Hello, little old lady. How are you?" She said, "Oh, I'm fine, thank you, wolf." She said, "I've got a bit of a problem though. I always go to bingo this time every day. And it's this time every day my granddaughter decides to visit and I always miss her. She's not very bright, she never gets it." "Really?" said the wolf. "Yep, could you do me a favour, Wolf? Yes, of course. Anything for you, little old lady. Will you hang around and just tell my granddaughter that I've gone to bingo and I'll see her later? Not a problem, said the wolf. You leave it to me. Thank you, Mr. Wolf, said the little old lady, and she went off to bingo, where she had a lovely time. Well, the wolf, he sat in a deck chair. Oh, he put his hand behind his head and yawned. Oh, he said, this is beautiful. He said, look at the lawn, that's beautiful, that lawn. Look at the flowers, they're lovely. Oh, I wonder how much this house is worth, because that's what adults always think. He said, oh, what a beautiful, beautiful house. And then he heard the gate creak open. He heard footsteps coming up the path. Oh, he got out of the deck chair. He said, I wonder if that, and round the corner came a little girl. She was wearing a red hood. He said, oh, he said, I've got a message for you. But she looked at him and she said, ooh. She said, ooh, what big ears you've got. He said, I'm a wolf. They're wolf ears. She said, ooh, what big eyes you've got. He said, yeah, I'm a wolf. They're wolf eyes. Anyway, I've got a message for you. She said, ooh. She said, what big hands you've got. Big paws, he said. She said, ooh, what big nose you've got. He said, it's a wolf nose. They run in our family. Anyway, I've got a message for you. She said, ooh, what big teeth you've got. You're a wolf. You are a wolf. Wolf! And she screamed really loudly. What? Said the wolf. And at that moment, a voice from the forest said, is that you, Little Red Riding Hood? It's me. I'm working in the forest at the moment and I've got a huge, big, massive, sharp, shiny axe. I'll come and save you. What? Said the wolf. There's a bloke in the forest with a big, massive, huge, shiny, new axe. That's a bit weird. He said, I'm not hanging around here. And he said to the little girl, your granny's gone to bingo. And he ran off as quickly as he could. He said, oh, he said, this is terrible. This day is turning terrible. He said, first there were 3 pigs. He said, and then there was a bully goat gruff. And now there's a weirdo in the forest with a big, sharp, shiny new axe. Oh, he said, I'm going home for tea. He said, this is driving me mad. Oh, I can't put up with this, but I can't go that way, and I can't go that way, and I can't go that way. I'll have to go by the mountains. And so he set off down towards the mountains to walk round the mountains and up through the meadows. When he got down there, he saw all around the bottom of the mountains were a lot of sheep. He said, oh, he said, hello, sheep. And the sheep all said, baa. And then he spotted a little shepherd boy. The little shepherd boy was tending the sheep. He said, oh, he said, hello, little shepherd boy. And the little shepherd boy looked at him and said, what, wolf? Yep, said the wolf. He said, wolf. He said, yep. He said, wolf. And he shouted so loud, there was a voice in the village at the bottom of the mountains, and it said, Geoffrey, get your gun. There's a wolf in the sheep's enclosure. And the wolf said, gun? And he hid under a pile of fleeces. And men came up from the village, and they said, where's this wolf? Where's this wolf? And the little shepherd boy said, well, he was here a minute ago. They said, well, you're wasting our time. You're wasting our time. And they left. The wolf got out from under the fleeces. He said, right, he said to the little shepherd boy. He said, what was all that about? And the little shepherd boy said, whoa. Yep, wolf. He said, wolf. He said, yes, yeah, indeed, wolf. He said, wolf. And he shouted so loud, a voice in the village said, Geoffrey, get your gun. That wolf's back in the sheep's enclosure. And the wolf said, gun? Oh. And he hid underneath a pile of fleeces. And the men came up and said, where's this wolf? Where's this wolf? The little shepherd boy said, well, he was here 2 seconds ago. And they said, you really are wasting our time now. You're wasting our time. And they left. And the wolf got out. And he said to the little shepherd boy, he said, right. He said, I've had enough of you. But the little shepherd boy said, what? And the wolf said, wolf. He said, what? He said, wolf. He said, whoa, 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 whoa. He said, wolf. A wolf, shouted the little boy. And there was silence. Nobody came up from the village. And the wolf said, that's it. I've had enough. He said, right, he said, this is it. He said, I was a very nice chap, but now I've had enough. 3 rude pigs. He said, a bully goat gruff. He said, poor old Trevor. He said, and then there was that bloke in the forest with a big sharp axe, and that girl who was so silly she didn't know anything. And now you, who just keep shouting wolf at me and threatening to get people with guns. I've had enough. And he went towards the little shepherd boy, and he opened his mouth, and he reached forward, and guess what he did? What? Ate the shepherd boy. Now that is a bit bloodthirsty, isn't it? Ate the sheep? No, he didn't eat the sheep. He got further and further towards the little boy. He opened his mouth and he held out a big, big paw, and he bent down and he grabbed hold of the little boy's cheese sandwich and he ate it. Nom, 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 nom. And he finished off the little boy's lunch. The little boy said, what? The wolf said, I'm going home now. I'm going to have a cup of tea. Ha! And he went. The little shepherd boy said, that's a bit bad, isn't it? And he said, you know what? He said, that wolf, he's bad. And then the little girl who was down in the forest with the little red hood on, she said, that thing with the big nose and the big ears and the big eyes and the big teeth, she said, he's bad. And then the bloke who had a big axe in the middle of the forest, he said, I was only cutting wood. He said, what's wrong with that wolf? He said, that wolf is bad. And the goat said, I was only wanting to eat grass. What's up with him? He said, that wolf is bad. And the little pigs, they said, ooh, they said, that wolf is not only bad, he's big. He's a big, bad wolf. And word got around. And everybody started to say, ooh, that wolf, he's really bad. In fact, he's a big bad wolf. And it got so much so that eventually it even got into the newspapers. And the newspapers would say, ooh, they'd say, ooh, that wolf, he is big and bad. He is the big bad wolf. And from that day forward, poor old Jeremy has always been known as the big bad wolf. So that's one story about getting a name. Now I'm going to tell you another story. Now this is a very strange story. I'm going to put my hat on for this one because I like to wear my hat. And you can't see it on this because I'm a bit close. But this is a story all about the prince. Now many years ago, way far away from where I'm sitting right here in the Storytelling Cafe, there was a country, and in that country there was a king and there was a queen, and they were very happy, and everybody loved the king and queen. And then one day there was a very happy occasion. The queen had a baby boy. Everybody was so happy. Whoa, they all cried, it's a baby boy, oh, a future king, how marvellous. And the king and the queen thought about it for a while, and they said, what will we call the prince? What should we call him? I know, we'll call him Louie. And so they called the Prince Louie. And when they took Prince Louie out, crowds would line the streets, and they would all cheer, and they would all shout, Prince Louie! Prince Louie! Prince Louie! And they were so happy. The Queen, she said, now because he's a prince, he must have a bath and a shower every single day. He is a prince. And so she appointed two royal bath attendants. And the royal bath attendants, they would come in every day at the same time, and they would say, ooh, Prince Louie, it's time for your bath, it's time for your shower. And they would take him away to the royal bathrooms. this was fine. Everything was fine. And every time they took out the very clean Prince Louis, people would shout, "Prince Louis! Prince Louis! Prince Louis!" So happy they were. Now, after 6 years, a very, very sad thing happened. The king, he died. That is a sad thing. And the queen was very, very sad. You can say, "Ah," if you wish. And she said, "Prince Louis is now King Louis, and he will be king from now on. I am so sad," she said. You can say "ah" again. "I am so sad. I am going to a palace far, far away where I'm going to live on my own," because that's what sad queens do. And she did. Now, King Louis, he was fine. He was still very young. He had lots of governors and teachers and all sorts. And every day the royal bath attendants would come in, they'd say, "Ooh, King Louis, it's time for your bath, it's time for your shower." And he would have a bath and shower. And when he went out, the people in the crowds would shout, "King Louis, King Louis!" And they loved him. Now, King Louis, he grew up, he was very popular still. And when he got to his 16th birthday, he was sat in his royal bedroom playing with his royal PS2000 Xbox, whatever you call these things these days. And he was on his little hand control thing, and he was looking at his screen just like I'm looking at this one now, and he was playing his game, and he was getting to a bit that he'd never got to before, and he's thinking to himself quietly, "I'm going to get through, I'm going to get through, I'm going to go further than I've ever been, I'm going to get through, I've just got to slay this huge dragon on the screen, oh, I'm going to get through." And at that second, the royal bath attendants came in, and they shouted, "Oh, King Louis, it's time for your bath, it's time for your shower." And it made him jump. And when he jumped, his thumb slipped. Ooh. And on the screen, the big dragon went, crunch, and hit him. And on the screen it said, "Game over." King Louis was furious. He said, "You made me do that." He said, "You made me do that, the royal bath attendants. You made me jump." He said, "Right." He said, "I was never got that far before. I was going to win that game. I was going to get the highest score I've ever got. Right." He said, "This is it." He said, "From now on, I am only having a bath and shower once a week. And as I'm king, if I'm only having bath and showers once a week, everybody is only having baths and showers once a week." The royal bath attendant said, "Ooh!" And they ran off to the castle far away. And it was where the queen lived. And they knocked on her door. And she opened the door. She said, "Yes." They said, "Oh, King Louis said we can only have a bath and shower once a week. And everybody can only have a bath and shower once a week." And the queen said, "Well, I'm still very sad." You can say "ah" again. She said, "I'm still very sad. And therefore, if he's king, he can say what he likes. He is king." And she shut the door on them. And from that moment on, everybody in the whole country only had a bath and shower once a week. Which was fine. Wasn't a disaster. They could still wash. And every time King Louis went out, the people would still shout. He was still very popular. "King Louis! King Louis! King Louis!" And that was fine. Everything was all right for the next 2 years. People were only allowed a bath and shower once a week. But then when it was his 18th birthday, King Louis was fiddling with his motorbike. And as he was trying to tighten something up on his motorbike, it just happened to be that time of the week. And into the royal garage came the two bath attendants, and they said, "Oh, King Louis, it's time for your bath, it's time for your shower." And it made him jump. And he stuck a screwdriver right into his thumb. And he screamed, "Ah!" And he stuck the thumb in his mouth. "Ah! Which means, "Ow, that really hurt." He said, "You made me jump, that was your fault." He said, "Oh," he said, "that's painful." He said, "Now, just for that," he said, "I am going to make a royal declaration." He said, "From now on, no one is having a bath and shower ever again. I'm not having a bath and shower ever again. And if I'm not having a bath and shower ever again, none of you lot are having a bath and shower ever again." There. The royal bath attendant said, "Oh, what?" And And they ran off to the palace in the countryside and they knocked on the door. And the Queen opened it. She said, yes. And they said, oh, King Louie said no one's allowed a bath and shower ever again. She said, well, I'm still very sad. They said, but no one is allowed a bath and shower ever again. She said, well, he's the king, he can say what he likes. I'm too sad. And she shut the door. And so from that moment on, no one in the whole country had a bath and shower ever again. They still liked King Louie, and when he went out they would shout, King Louie, King Louie. Then, after 6 months, the country went to the Football World Cup. And when they finished their first game, they went to swap shirts with their opposition. The opposition said, oh, we don't want those shirts, they're too smelly. Don't you have baths and showers? And the football players said, no. After a year, they went to the United Nations, which is a big place in America where all the countries meet up. And no one wanted to sit next to the people from that country. They said, we're not sitting next to you. Don't you have baths and showers? You stink. And the people said, ooh. And after 2 years, planes stopped flying over their country. They would go to the country border and then they'd go all the way round because the whole country was far too smelly. And the people said, we've had enough. We've had enough of this. But then, after 2.5 years, the whole world had a vote. And they voted that country, the smelliest country in the whole entire world. And the people said, that's it. We can't be known as the smelliest country in the whole world just because our king won't let us have our bath and shower. And they rose up. They said, unplug the baths. They said, uncork the showers. And they did. But the king was furious. King Louie said, ah. And he went out. And then when he went out, the people shouted. They shouted, King Pooey, King Pooey. He said, where are my armies? And they said, in the shower. He said, where are my policemen? They said, in the bath. He said, this will not do. But the people said, we can't have a smelly king. And so they grabbed pitchforks and flaming torches. They wouldn't have flaming pitchforks. That would be ridiculous. They had flaming torches and pitchforks and they marched towards the palace shouting, King Pooey, King Pooey, King Pooey. Well, the king heard them coming and he jumped out the window and he ran into the forest and he hid in a tree because that is what kings do. And the people marched into the forest. They said, well, he's the smelliest king ever and he's in that tree because that's the smelliest tree in the forest. And they marched towards it shouting, King Pooey, King Pooey, King Pooey. And so the king jumped out and he ran to another tree in the forest and he hid in that one. And the people said, well, he's in that tree now because that's the smelliest tree. And they marched towards that shouting, King Pooey, King Pooey, King Pooey. And he jumped out of that tree and he ran to another tree and hid in that. And the people said, whoa, 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 whoa. We're not doing this. We're not chasing the king around the forest just because he won't have a bath and shower. They said, right, we won't have a king anymore. He said, we're going to have a republic. And they did. They formed a republic. And it was no better, no worse than it was before. And they all got on very well. And everything was great. And everybody had baths and showers. But now, if you're out and about in the countryside, or you're at a festival where we tell lots of stories, you might smell something pretty bad. It could be those portable toilets. It could be the storyteller who probably hasn't had a shower for 3 days. It could be the cows in the field next door. Or it could be a king hiding in a tree. If it is, what you need to do is you need to march towards it shouting, King Pooey, King Pooey, King Pooey. And the smell might just go away. And then again, it might not. And that is another story about a name. I'm going to leave you now. That is the end of my stories. Thank you for visiting the World Storytelling Cafe. It's a wonderful place. Stories from all around the world, live stories. There are stories and poetry as well. Fantastic stuff. Make sure you come again. And remember, tomorrow is another story. And I will see you again. Bye-bye.